welcome back to Embracing Your Therapy channel. This is your host, Dr. Menije. And this week's episode, I want to talk to you about our thoughts, specifically the way we think. This is a very important topic for me because as a CBT therapist, I help my clients a lot about the way they think affects the problem they have in their lives. I plan on having a separate episode to you about cognitive behavioral therapy and go into details about it, but let me share you the basic principle, which says that the way we think affects the way we feel, which affects the way we act. So it's quite obvious that our thoughts are very powerful. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to take a moment and listen to your thoughts. I want you to pay attention to the thoughts you're having right now. If you have a pen and paper with you, maybe write them down. Are they positive or negative thoughts? Are they supportive or critical, judgmental thoughts? Are the thoughts you're having about the past, what happened yesterday, or is it about what you're going to do after you finish this episode, about the future? Because these thoughts that you have throughout the day, what we call them as automatic thoughts, make up our self-talk. We also think of them as our inner dialogue, our inner voice. And the self-talk we have is like this commentary that's playing in the background, is very impactful, like I said earlier, in how we feel. Let me share some examples with you. If you're feeling guilty or ashamed, you often have a thought that says, I'm a bad person, I made a very big mistake. If you're feeling angry, then you have a thought that says, this is wrong, this is unfair, I can't believe he did that to me, she should have known better. If you're feeling anxious or worried, you think to yourself, something terrible is going to happen, this doesn't look right, I just dodged a bullet. Or if you're feeling hopeless, you think to yourself, nothing's going to get better for me, I don't see the light at the end of the tunnel. So you see there's this vicious cycle between our thoughts and our emotion. We have a thought that leads to the feeling, and when we feel the feeling, it kind of proves the thought is accurate. So we really want to pay attention to this. And then our self-talk has a very big influence on our self-esteem and how we view ourselves. So I want to share an example with you. Imagine that you run into a problem, and if the thought you're having is, this is hard, I can't do this, I don't know how to do this, you automatically feel discouraged, but more importantly, deep down, you start to feel that you're incompetent. You start to feel insecure. You start to think of yourself as inadequate. And that obviously has a big impact on the future goals or future things that you would pursue. So let's go back to the problem and imagine that you have a different way of looking at it, different way of thinking about it. So you have a problem, and instead of thinking, I can't do this, you say to yourself, I can give this a try. Let me see what I can do. Maybe I will solve this problem. Not only you're feeling more encouraged, but you're also feeling more confident. You're also feeling more competent, and you're feeling that you're good enough, talented enough, smart enough to give it a try. And then you start to have a more positive view of yourself that again tends to feed to a next positive action or next positive thoughts. So I want to give you some homework assignment to do. What I want you to do is I want you to start paying attention to your thoughts, because the change won't happen if you don't notice and pay attention to the thoughts you're having. So what you can do is you can journal. And I ask my clients to journal a lot, and sometimes people say they don't know how to start a journal, and it's okay to use a prompt, meaning you can think of a key word you heard in the radio earlier in the day or a song that really resonated with you, and you can use that keyword, song, or a question to prompt you to journal so you can start to record your thoughts. Another one is from a classic CBT called thought logging. It's a recording of one's thought in a log. And again, the idea is that we really want to collect the type of thoughts you're having. The second thing you want to do, once you pay attention to your thoughts, you notice them, you write them down, is to label them. Because as you know, if you don't label something as problematic, you're less likely to change it. So I want you to look at the thoughts you are having and notice, are they helpful thoughts? Are they healthy thoughts? Are they unhealthy, irrational, critical, negative thoughts? So you don't always have to do like a pen and paper. Sometimes you may just want to pause and listen to the thought you're having and ask yourself, hold on, I just have a problem and I thought to myself, I can't do this. That's not going to help me. And there you go. You just noticed the thought and you label this as unhealthy, unhelpful. Sometimes people like to simplify it and say, is this a good thought or a bad thought? And I know other people don't like the good versus bad label, so I like to suggest helpful versus hurtful thoughts. And then the last thing you want to do after you pay attention to your thoughts, you label it as unhealthy, is then to reframe it. Meaning you need to change the thought. You can't just keep around unhealthy, negative thought, hoping that it'll just go away. You have to actively reframe it. So again, going back to that example, you have a problem and you think to yourself, I can't do this. Right away, you can reframe it to something quite simple, like, I can handle it. So reframing doesn't have to be something very creative or something well thought out. It's just maybe just changing few words in the sentences, so it goes from being unhealthy to a little healthier, or self-critical to a little bit more self-compassionate. So those are 3 ways that you can work on your self-talk, your inner dialogue. As I said, we will have more episodes talking about the relationship between our thoughts and our feelings and the impact it has on our actions. That's the basis of cognitive behavioral therapy that I look forward to sharing more with you. But for this episode, if you have any thoughts, any questions or comments, please make sure to share them below. You need to subscribe to the channel so we stay connected and you get notified of my latest episode. And if you're interested, you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. Thank you so much for listening to this episode, and I look forward to connecting with you in future episodes.